What if the most cynical mind in history also held the secret to your unshakable power, not in conquest, but in profound solitude? We often picture Niccolo Machiavelli surrounded by power, advising princes, plotting strategies in the bustling heart of Renaissance Florence. But imagine him alone, banished to a quiet country estate, seemingly defeated and stripped of influence. Yet, it was in this very solitude that he forged some of the most enduring and often unsettling ideas about power and human nature. This isn't just about history. It's about a man who turned his isolation into his greatest strength. This isn't about meditating or escaping the world, at least not in the modern sense. It's about understanding how strategic solitude can make you sharper, more resilient, and truly unbreakable in a world that constantly tries to pull you in a million directions. Stick around, because Machiavelli's blueprint for power applies directly to your life. To truly grasp Machiavelli's perspective on solitude, we have to start with his own story. In 1512, Florence was overthrown, and the Medici family, whom Machiavelli had worked against, returned to power. He was accused of conspiracy, imprisoned, tortured, and eventually banished from the city he loved and served. His political career, the very core of his identity, was shattered. He found himself exiled to his small family farm in Sant'Andrea in Percosina, a place of quiet contemplation, far removed from the political intrigues he thrived on. Imagine that sudden silence after years of constant action and negotiation. It must have been deafening at first, perhaps even soul-crushing. For many, such a fall from grace would lead to despair and irrelevance. But Machiavelli was different. He didn't just retreat, he transformed. In his famous letter to Francesco Vittori, he describes his daily routine. By day, he mingled with common folk, debating local matters, often playing cards or checkers at the inn. But in the evening, he shed his mud-stained clothes and donned royal and curial garments, entering the ancient courts of ancient men, where he spoke with them and questioned them about the reasons for their actions. This wasn't merely reading. It was a profound, solitary engagement with history, philosophy, and the accumulated wisdom of past leaders. This daily ritual of intellectual communion, performed in the quiet of his study, allowed him to distill centuries of human experience and political thought. It was during this period of forced solitude that he penned his two most famous works, The Prince and Discourses on Livy. These aren't just books. They're the distilled essence of a brilliant mind operating free from the immediate pressures of power. His exile wasn't a vacation. It was a forge. It was where the raw ore of his experience and knowledge was hammered, shaped, and sharpened into the powerful tools of analysis we still study today. He turned his personal disaster into a period of intense, unparalleled productivity. This wasn't passive reflection. It was active, strategic, and ultimately, profoundly empowering solitude. It taught him, and now teaches us, that sometimes the greatest strength is found when you're utterly alone with your thoughts. Now, let's zoom out from Machiavelli's personal experience and look at how he saw solitude as a strategic advantage for any ruler, or indeed any individual seeking to exert influence. He understood that being constantly embroiled in the day-to-day chaos, surrounded by advisors and petitioners, can cloud judgment. It's hard to see the forest for the trees when you're deep within the woods. Machiavelli would argue that a leader needs moments of withdrawal, a strategic retreat from the din, to gain a clearer perspective. Think of a general who needs to survey the entire battlefield from a high vantage point, rather than being caught up in the melee of individual skirmishes. From that elevated position, patterns emerge, weaknesses become visible, and the overall trajectory of events becomes more apparent. This isn't about avoiding responsibility. It's about fulfilling it more effectively. In the midst of flattery, gossip, and biased information, all common in any court or modern organization, it's incredibly difficult to ascertain the truth. People always have their own agendas. Solitude, for Machiavelli, cuts through that noise. It allows you to process information without immediate emotional pressure, to weigh facts against motivations, and to see the underlying currents of human behavior that often get obscured by superficial interactions. When you're alone, there's no one to impress, no one to appease, and no one whose opinion you need to factor into your immediate thoughts. This unvarnished clarity is priceless. It's about detaching yourself just enough to objectively analyze situations. When you're constantly interacting, you're constantly reacting. Machiavelli knew that true power lay in measured action, not knee-jerk responses. Solitude provides the space for that measured thought, for formulating long-term strategies that account for the unpredictable nature of people and fortune. It's about being proactive, not reactive. This isn't about being a hermit. It's about using moments of profound isolation to sharpen your vision, allowing you to re-engage with the world with an almost unfair advantage. You see things others simply can't because they're too close to the action. Machiavelli was a keen observer of human nature, and he had no illusions about it. He often wrote about the fickleness of fortune and the unreliability of men. This led him to a foundational principle. A ruler or any person of consequence must ultimately rely on themselves. And where do you cultivate that unshakable self-reliance? In solitude. Imagine a fortress. Its strength isn't just in its walls, but in the supplies and training within, the ability of its occupants to withstand a siege, to be self-sufficient. Your inner citadel is built similarly. When you spend time alone, you are forced to confront yourself, your thoughts, your fears, and your capabilities. There's no one else to lean on, no external validation to seek. This process, while sometimes uncomfortable, is incredibly strengthening. It's like mental weight training. Machiavelli understood that those who depend on others for their counsel, their courage, or their validation are inherently weak. They are easily manipulated, prone to panic, and lack the internal compass necessary to navigate treacherous political waters. True strength comes from an internal source. Solitude provides the crucible where that strength is forged. It's where you learn to trust your own judgment, to stand by your convictions, even when popular opinion or powerful voices contradict you. This isn't to say you should ignore all advice, but that the final decision, the ultimate responsibility, rests squarely on your shoulders. And to bear that weight, you need an inner core that has been tested and proven strong in the quiet moments of self-reflection. When you know yourself, when you've wrestled with your own doubts and emerged with clarity, you become less susceptible to external pressures. You become harder to break. This self-sufficiency, born of solitude, makes you a formidable force because your stability doesn't rely on the shifting sands of external circumstance or popular favor. It's rooted deep within you, an unshakable foundation. One of the most profound benefits of strategic solitude, from a Machiavellian perspective, is the opportunity for unvarnished self-knowledge. In social settings, we are constantly performing. We wear masks, project certain images, and subtly adjust our behavior to fit in, to please, or to achieve a particular outcome. But when you are truly alone, those masks tend to slip. There's no audience, no one to impress, no one to deceive. Machiavelli, with his realistic and often stark view of human nature, understood that this raw self-awareness is absolutely essential for anyone who seeks to understand others and navigate the complexities of power. How can you truly understand the motivations, weaknesses, and strengths of others if you haven't first stripped away the illusions about yourself? Solitude holds up an unfiltered mirror, showing you not just who you wish to be or who you pretend to be, but who you actually are in your most unguarded moments. This isn't always a comfortable experience. Sometimes what you see in that mirror isn't pretty. You might confront your own insecurities, your biases, your irrational impulses, or your moments of cowardice. But this confrontation is precisely where growth happens. By acknowledging these aspects of yourself without judgment, simply observing them, you gain invaluable insight. You begin to understand the universal human condition, because you are seeing it within yourself, unadulterated. This kind of introspection allows you to develop a more realistic and pragmatic understanding of people. If you know how easily you can be swayed, how you might rationalize a dubious action, or how you might seek advantage, then you're far better equipped to recognize these traits in others. It's a fundamental step toward Machiavelli's clear-eyed assessment of human behavior, seeing people as they are, not as you wish them to be. So don't shy away from that solitary mirror. It's not about self-criticism, but about self-observation, a crucial step toward mastering yourself and, by extension, influencing the world around you. In our hyper-connected, always-on world, genuine solitude for deep thinking feels like a luxury, almost an anachronism. Yet, for Machiavelli, And for anyone seeking to master a domain, it's an absolute necessity. Strategic thinking, the kind that anticipates multiple moves ahead, that synthesizes disparate information, and that crafts truly innovative solutions, simply cannot happen in a fragmented, constantly interrupted environment. Think about it. How often do you get more than 15 uninterrupted minutes to think about a complex problem? Our attention is constantly being pulled by notifications, emails, social media, and the demands of others. This makes us reactive and superficial in our thought processes. Machiavelli, by contrast, had the forced luxury of long, quiet hours in his study. He could delve into history, analyze patterns of behavior across centuries, and meticulously construct his arguments without distraction. This sustained, focused attention is what we call deep work today, and it's a superpower. Solitude provides the mental space for this kind of intense cognitive effort. It allows ideas to marinate, connections to be made, and complex strategies to be formulated and refined. It's during these periods of uninterrupted thought that genuine insights emerge, that innovative solutions are born, and that plans achieve a level of sophistication that simply isn't possible amidst constant noise. Imagine trying to sculpt a masterpiece while people are constantly tapping your shoulder, asking questions, or playing loud music. You'd never achieve the intricate detail or the grand vision. Your mind, too, needs that quiet, focused environment to craft its own masterpieces, whether they're business strategies, creative projects, or personal life plans. Machiavelli's writings are a testament to the power of a mind sharpened in solitude, capable of cutting through complexity and revealing profound truths. He didn't just read history. He digested it in the quiet, undisturbed chambers of his mind, turning it into actionable wisdom. One of Machiavelli's most striking lessons is the danger of relying on popular opinion or flattering advisors. He understood that true leadership, and indeed true personal power, often requires making decisions that are unpopular, difficult, or that go against the prevailing sentiment. Solitude helps build the mental fortitude to do just that, to stand alone when necessary. When you're constantly seeking validation from others, you become a slave to their opinions. You hesitate to take bold steps, you second-guess your own insights, and you prioritize being liked over being effective. Machiavelli knew that popularity is fleeting and often based on superficiality. A leader who governs by popularity alone is ultimately weak, unable to weather a storm when public favor inevitably turns. Strategic solitude allows you to strip away that need for external approval. When you've spent time wrestling with ideas on your own, when you've cultivated your inner citadel of self-reliance, you gain the confidence to trust your own reasoned conclusions. You become less swayed by the clamor of the crowd or the honeyed words of sycophants. You develop the courage to make tough calls, even when they're met with criticism, because you've weighed them thoroughly in the quiet of your own mind. This isn't about being arrogant or dismissive of others. It's about having a strong enough internal compass to navigate a world full of conflicting voices. It's about recognizing that sometimes the right decision is the one that fewer people understand or appreciate in the short term, but which yields long-term strength and stability. Machiavelli's prince wasn't concerned with being loved, but with being feared and respected, and a crucial part of that respect came from his ability to make independent, decisive judgments. This strength of conviction, forged in the fires of solitary contemplation, is what makes an individual truly unbreakable. They don't bend to every passing breeze of popular sentiment. They stand firm, rooted in their own well-considered truths. It's crucial to understand that for Machiavelli, solitude wasn't an end in itself. It was a means to an end. It was a strategic retreat, a period of intensive preparation designed to make you more formidable and effective when you re-engage with the world. This isn't about becoming a hermit or escaping society permanently. It's about a cyclical process: immerse, withdraw, refine, return. Think of it like a seasoned warrior. They don't fight all the time. They train. They reflect on past battles. They clean and sharpen their weapons in the quiet solitude of their camp. Then, when the time is right, they return to the fray, stronger, wiser, and more prepared than before. Similarly, Machiavelli's own return from exile, even if only in the form of his influential writings, showed the world the profound power he had cultivated during his time alone. When you emerge from a period of strategic solitude, you're not the same person who went in. You've honed your perspective, strengthened your resolve, deepened your understanding of yourself and others, and clarified your strategic vision. You return with a quieter confidence, a sharper intellect, and a more resilient spirit. You're better equipped to deal with challenges, to see through deception, and to act with precision and purpose. This makes you an unbreakable force because you're constantly adapting and improving from a place of strength, not desperation. You're not just reacting to the world. You're shaping it because you've taken the time to truly understand it from a distance. So, embrace these moments of solitude, not as an escape, but as an essential part of your journey towards mastery and influence. Use that quiet time to forge your inner power, so that when you step back into the arena, you do so with an undeniable, unshakable force. So, what does Machiavelli teach us about being alone? His own forced exile wasn't a period of defeat, but a forge where his most powerful ideas, like the prince, were born. He shows us that solitude isn't about isolation. It's a strategic tool. It offers a crucial vantage point, allowing us to see situations and people with greater clarity, cutting through the noise and flattery that often clouds judgment. It's where we build our inner citadel of self-reliance, confronting ourselves without pretense, and developing the mental toughness to stand firm amidst uncertainty. Ultimately, this isn't about abandoning the world, but about retreating, sharpening your mind, and then re-engaging with new, unbreakable power. How do you see solitude now? Is it a burden or a secret weapon you're ready to wield? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts and experiences with strategic alone time. And if you're ready to explore more timeless wisdom for modern life and empower yourself with insights from history's greatest thinkers, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We've got more powerful ideas waiting for you.